So I'll tell you the story. This is a team that has been using the Scrum framework for a little over a year. They're doing a lot of support work. So a lot of production support, bugs, and such. And the question that came in was, they do get a lot of flack because they really can't work on new features. Right. So the question was, how do we still show that we are a productive team when we are firefighting, doing bugs and maintenance and all this other stuff? Like, how do we show that we're actually still getting stuff done? And the perspective was from doesn't have to be stories, but there's still outcomes, there's still output coming out from this team. Not necessarily what maybe your business leaders want, like a features or something like that.
Not the cool, sexy stuff that everybody wanted. Yeah.
So it was almost like how do I measure output? How do I measure the capacity, like the outcomes?
How do you show you're productive?
Yes, there you go. We've gotten that question before.
Right. So to me, that's a really hard one, right? So to me, there seems to be a skewed perception or perspective from the management in terms of what they have or what their capability as a team is. So this is very typical for me in what I've seen, where organizations love to say, hey, I have a project, right? I need somebody working on it right now. I don't have enough people. Hey, give me 10 people.
Right.
Throw me 10 people and let's get this project done.
Spin them up. They're going to be a team.
Spin them up.
Spin it up. After 3 months done, I'll just pass the work. Somebody else go maintain the work. Right. That does not work, and this is one of the things I'm a pet peeve for right now. Is like, I don't know what's going to get in these people's head. That those things create quality problems. They have never ever created any project that has good quality, never. And yet we continue. And then guess what? Now we've got a team that's now trying to maintain the system. What are they going to do? They can't do much because they're constantly having to fight.
Right.
Yeah.
The defects.
And this is probably many failed attempts at being able to solve this problem, and I've had to go after it different ways. But and I think we used to talk about this one. For me, it's you're sprinting. It's no longer everybody gets enamored with story points, velocity, and all that stuff. With a team that I see is struggling with that, it's don't even worry about points or anything like that. When you get done with the sprint, what is the composition of stuff that you're delivering? Is it more bugs? Is it support? Like non-functional work? Is it stories? And then don't even worry about sizes and forecasts. Just start looking at those different types of work. I've read or listened to Phoenix Project last year, and I've loved a very similar story where it was like the first thing that you do is start classifying the type of work that's coming in. Identify it, because then you can actually start making a case for, we know you want us to work on new features, but like 70% of my workload is in bugs and support because I'm working on a legacy system.
Right.
I can't work on that, but I'm making it very evident. I can't control that.
Right.
Help me, those of you who have influence that can control that.
So basically we're classifying it. And then counting, just counting. We're not even doing the estimation, just counting how many things you get.
If I got 10 things done in a sprint, 7 of those were bug related.
That's 70%.
Yep. And if you want to go
number.
crazy, start identify where in your application, where in the system those bugs are, because then now you're drilling down even further. Like, our commerce system is insane.
Well, I was just gonna comment on that. One of the things that I did, for me, it was actually one of the more successful adventures in my Agile career, was working with a whole group. It wasn't here, it was a company before here, but they had a really large backlog of bugs, and they were bugs throughout the system and throughout multiple departments. And their product ownership was trying to sequence them based on what they thought was business value, and no matter what they did, people were screaming and hollering. And so finally pulled everybody together and said, all right, I need a department head from legal, someone from finance, someone from customer support, someone from engineering, and someone from marketing. You all need to be in the room together. And we're going to look at this giant backlog of bugs, and you're going to pick your top 5 and bring them to the room and argue for them. And now the team will know what to tackle first. And for the first time in pretty much apparently from the company history, legal had been saying up and down, oh my God, our stuff is absolutely the most important. I don't even understand why this is a question. And they sat in a room and they started seeing some of the other things that came up. And finance was of the same mindset. Ours is the most important. This is, the company's going to go under if we don't fix these bugs. And then finally they started seeing each other's things. And finance started seeing some of the things in engineering and customer service, like, well, if we don't get those fixed, we're not going to have any dollars to shift around. And legal had to step, they said, well, ours have to be fixed. And like, so when is the deadline for that? Well, it's a year from now. Like, so it needs to be fixed, but compared to this other stuff, you're saying everything else needs to stop while we work on that? Like, so they had to have some difficult conversations, but they were able to prioritize. Now, to the other half of it is the throughput, and we went to a Kanban system that they'd never used before. Right. And we lumped work by size to try to keep the board roughly, everything on a particular at a board, try to keep them around the same size. And if we had bigger pieces, it's like, okay, let's try to prioritize a bunch of bigger pieces all roughly at the same time so that they're going through the board at the same pace. Yeah. Because if you have one big thing and 10 little things, that big thing's going to clog everything up. But if you have 10 bigger things, they're all going to flow through the board roughly at the same speed. So the team suddenly saw things going across the board. They really focused truly on WIP limits and truly the Kanban. If something's at the far right end, get it out the door and then work your way backwards. And so things were flowing through for the first time in, like, apparently in the company history. They had, they cleaned out their backlog of bugs in just a few short months.
Right.
But only because everybody who was responsible for getting it organized stepped up to the plate, swallowed their pride on a few things, and got things prioritized, and the team focused on getting things through the board.
So that's getting people in a room. Basically we're saying, hey, you tell us which one is the priority.
Stop yelling at the team about working on things or yelling at your product ownership. Right. If you all in leadership, again, if you can't agree on what priority is for this company, then how in the world is everybody else supposed to?
How do you expect a team to figure it out? That's a good thing. Yeah. I like that.
I keep hearing a theme, like, some of the things we keep saying gives us a hard time, maybe because I keep hearing you say it.
Yeah, maybe it's
like it seems to always come from one direction.
Well, it goes, there's the book by Lencioni, The Agenda. Really good book, but he's the guy who wrote the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of the Team. And it all comes down to having, all of your teams have to be solid, including at the very top.
Agreed.
You need to have your one team, right? And if the C-suite isn't all on the same page, it trickles down, because then every one of their organizations is going to be fighting with each other because they're not doing it. And so on, all the way down.
That's what Scrum at Scale does.
Yeah. Scrum at Scale is totally about that, right?
Totally about that.
Yeah.